This is Guinevere. She had just come in the day before. I recorded 2 videos recently and forgot to turn my microphone on, and this is one of them. And this is Guinevere. She is a Missouri Foxtrotter. Her owner had dropped her off the day before doing this video, and I worked her a little bit when the owner was there. And this is the next day when I had worked her for the first time, as far as working her and seeing what I could accomplish, and more than just checking out what she was. So I had worked her the day before this, and I had a pretty good idea of what I was working with. And now I'll show you what Guinevere is. As I said, she's a Missouri Foxtrotter, 3 years old, I believe, and she came in to be started. Here I brought her out into the arena, and here I'm trying to just brush her. The day before, when I had saddled her, she had a saddle set on her before, but it had never been girthed up. So the day before this video was the first time she had ever had a saddle on her and girthed up and tightened down. So this will be the second time that she's had a saddle girthed up and tightened down. So I always put the bridle on first when I'm starting these horses out in the arena. It helps with their attention. It helps keep their attention in towards me and without them looking out quite as bad. Plus they have that kind of like a pacifier in their mouth they can chew on, and everything that I'm going to do is going to be attached to the halter. The halter is going to be on under the bridle, but nothing will be attached to the bridle. Everything will be done off the halter. And that's Raven in the background working Bug. And I'm coming in kind of towards the end of her ride on Bug. She'll be done in just a minute. And we do this quite often, working 2 horses at the same time, 1 horse at a time, just however it works out. And I think that does the horses a lot of good. That way they're used to being worked around other horses, and they're used to being worked by themselves. As you'll see, like a minute ago, I kind of popped the lead rope a little bit. I'm a little harder on her than what I am some other horses. And I'm harder or softer for different reasons. And Guinevere is actually a little bit pushy in my space. That's obviously been a common theme. And when she gets into my space, I'm going to be a little bit harder on her, because I want to keep not only myself safe, but I want that to be improved for when she goes back home, so that she's safe for her owner. Another thing that's going on with Guinevere, and you'll see it as I start to work her, she really is not worried about much of anything. Where with Mr. T, you saw some pretty big reactions. With Guinevere, she doesn't react much at all. Really very different reactions, and she's pretty confident. She just shows it in a different way than what Mr. T shows it. Different horses, different minds, a lot of similar qualities between the two, just kind of different ways of showing. Now right there I tighten the saddle down. I'm wanting to just kind of get her to move her feet. Yesterday when I tightened the saddle down, which was the first time that it had been tightened down, she didn't really react to it much at all. Right then you saw she kind of got stiff. I asked her to move her feet, and she doesn't really do a whole lot. She's pretty non-reactive. As you see right there, as much as it takes just to get her to move her feet a little bit. Right there, she was wanting to come into my space. I'm going to see if I can get her to move her feet. Not framed up with the camera very good, but I'm sure we're going to be moving around. I think I'm actually trying to work my way over to the wall to get the lunge whip down. and it's going to be pretty interesting here. I'm lunging this horse, cracking this whip pretty hard, and you watch Raven in the background on Bug. There's just really not much reaction. That just shows how broke we get these horses with the things that we do. Just being around here, being worked around, they just get broke. So I'm trying to get Guinevere to just kind of move her feet a little bit. Not really asking her to lunge to the point of getting tired. I want to get her to move her feet, just kind of feel what's going on with that saddle. Relax to it, and you see she's moving out a little bit and pretty soft, moving her head a little bit, bouncing her head a little bit with her gait. There we're changing directions and go the other way. She is a very different horse than what Mr. T has been. Mr. T has been very big reactive. She doesn't react much at all. I've talked some about when you're starting horses, they all need to have certain qualities before you get on their back. They need to have certain skills that they have mastered. And they need to be able to turn left, turn right, stop, all that off of the driving line. And their mind needs to be to a point where they're willing to accept the rider. And Mr. T, I've had to do a lot of ground driving with him to establish all those things. With Guinevere, I haven't had to do near as much. Her mind is ready to accept more at this point. And I've talked in some videos about some horses just need more pressure applied. And Guinevere is one of those horses that need more pressure. And Mr. T is a type of horse that he needs time. You apply the pressure and you give him the chance to think about it. Think about what the pressure is and think about what his best response to that pressure is. Different minds that physically, as far as the acts that I'm doing, are similar, but my timing is way different between the two because I'm trying to accomplish two different things with their mind. Now I'm just snugging the saddle down just a little bit more. In the beginning, when I tightened the saddle, I just wanted it tight enough that it wasn't going to fall off. There, I'm just snugging it a little bit more. Now I'm going to attach I think I'm going to attach the other driving line here and see if we can drive her a little bit. Driving forward has been it's been kind of hard with her at this point. She just didn't have much go. Where you saw the big reactions with Mr. T as far as changing directions, there's just not as much reaction with Guinevere here. Right there, she wanted to kind of come into my space. Trying to get her to just drive out a little bit. Working on turning left and right. Things that we need to start on. Where Mr. T was pushing forward into pressure, she kind of backs out of it. Even when there's not much pressure there, she backs out of it. As far as people always want to comment, well, this horse had to have been done this way to create this horse, or it must have had this trauma or this treatment. But most of the time, none of those things actually happened. It's just the personality of the horses. Different horses have different personalities. It doesn't necessarily mean that anyone went through any particular trauma or incident or anything like that. That's just different personalities. Right here with her, she kind of sulls down a little bit, backs out when I'm asking her to turn, where Mr. T just kind of tries to push forward through the pressure. All that action, and Bug really don't care. That's Bug. If Raven would have been on any other horse, I wouldn't have come out doing that, but I knew she was okay on Bug. Now we're getting a little bit of go. Even though it's just walk, that's enough. That's okay. All we want is walk and steer. I want the brain to think about what I'm asking for and give me the answers that I'm looking for. Right there, she's wanting to come into my space again. It's funny how her answer is to go backwards unless I'm leading her, then it's to come into my space. So now I'm taking the driving lines off and attaching the reins. Well, you saw me spend quite a few days driving Mr. T before I started stepping up on his back. I'm going to step up on her back sooner. It's because of the mind that I have here to work with. And when you're starting horses, you have to be able to read their mind and read what they're wanting to what they need at that time to improve. And I don't want to be as hard as what I would have to be to start driving her. So we're going to step up down in the saddle. One part doesn't have to be 100% trained before you start asking for the next part. Doesn't mean I'm going to get on her back and sit down and ride off, but I want to start applying that next part, the next step, before I start pushing this last step any harder. Sometimes that's the thing to do, sometimes it's not. And I'm just, with each horse, I make that call with each horse when it's time. I want to get her head turned around and step up. Right there, I'm just putting a little bit of weight in the saddle, bouncing, and see what she does. She's not as tall as Mr. T, but this video is actually just a couple of days after I recorded that first video of Mr. T where he gave me so much trouble, and my knees are actually still bothering me at this point from all that Mr. T done to bouncing around. See how relaxed she looks when I put weight on and step up. And like I had said, the day before this is the first time she had ever had a saddle actually tighten down on her. Different horses with different personalities need different things. And as far as the physical things that I do, sometimes they need more of one thing and less of another thing. Sometimes, like Mr. T needed more time driving, her mind is in a better place to do more of this. Right there, she's just kind of shifting her weight around to get a little bit better centered under me. With Mr. T, I had talked about I intentionally was not helping him with balancing himself under my weight because of how his mind wasn't really trying. With her, I'm actually helping her a little bit because her mind is more willing to try. And because her mind is there more willing to try, then I'll actually help her with getting a little bit better centered to hold my weight. Where with Mr. T, he wasn't trying, so I don't help him as much, And by not helping him, that will encourage him to try a little bit harder. Just a little small shift in tactic because of the type of mentality each of the two horses are. Just sit down and pet her, and I'm going to step back off. And huge difference between the first time I'd swung my leg over her and the first time I swung my leg over Mr. T. Huge, huge difference. Here we're going to do that again. The big picture, the big thing that I want to accomplish with her is just for her to gain her confidence with me sitting on her back. That is really the ultimate goal that I'm looking for. In the beginning, she's letting me do it. She's not really complaining about it, but she don't really understand it. I want her to understand it, and I want her to be okay with it. Now she's got her feet set pretty good. Looking around, taking it in. She's smelling my foot, smelling my leg, but she's not opening her mouth trying to bite me like what Mr. T did. Yeah, I'm going to step up again. I waited for her to get still, get her feet where she wanted them, and then I swung my leg over. So in this session, I stepped up and down quite a few times. Like I said, I'm just wanting to build her confidence that what I'm doing is okay. There's no reason to panic. And at this ride, I did not ask her to walk off. I have done that since then. I'm running probably, I don't know, almost 2 weeks getting these videos out. So she's actually about 2 weeks further ahead. All of the horses that you see in these videos were all sent to me for training. And if you'd like to talk to me about sending your horse to me for training, you can message me at rideslide@hotmail.com and we'll talk about what you have. This is Guinevere. I'll have a playlist on YouTube of all of her videos. Until next time, thank you for watching.